Hey, so I'm just gonna demonstrate how function layer works and show the current code and how it's working. To start with, let's see what is function layer. So it's a project. It's an AVS that I'm building, which basically executes code uh, on the AVS, and the results are put on chain. So let's start with how what the developer wants. Okay, so requirements are that the developer wants a particular function to be registered on chain, as in it could be used again and again by him or maybe other developers. So let's say I wrote a function that calculates a particular value from an API, does some math over it, and returns an array of integers, right? So I can define the return type, I can define the import, and I can give the code, right? These are the three things. So let's start with a JS module registry. So the code is in JS, the imports, everything is in JS, okay? And so the first step will be to upload the code on a distributed storage provider. So we are using Rweave. So let's see developer does that. Now this Rweave code, which will be a JSON, which will contain the code, the imports and returns, for which we'll have a helper function, and then this will be registered on a JS module registry.sol, which I haven't implemented yet because it's just a registry which stores Rweave URL, the owner who can update it again and change the function, and update it to version another version and all those things, right? So this is something I'll implement later, but ideally how it works is, let's say I have the Rweave URL which has the code. Now I want to use that function in my contract, and I want an aggregation of results from, let's say, if there are 20 valid operators or validators running the node. I need, let's say, five response, or maybe an aggregation of five responses. So let's say I receive an array of five integers. I want all of these nodes to calculate the integers and return me, and I will calculate that average on chain of the results, and I need that here for some purpose, right? Maybe I am doing some kind of policy or something like that, right? It could be a policy, it could be just an aggregation of some on chain oracle prices and stuff. But yeah, so the flow should be, in my opinion, is that the user request the execution for that particular module, or you can say particular code, which is just stored on Rweave, and our execution handler will can get the request, which will see, okay, what are the requirements, how many node count, and what are the inputs. If there is an input, what is the how do you want the output to be, and all those things, right? And once it does that, and it will basically request, it will create a new task for that, and the AVS will basically execute that task, right? So all the operators running, they will try to run the code, and they will try to execute the code and get the output and deliver that code to the execution handler, which will then do the work of delivering the execution back to the contract that called that requested for the execution. And using this, so it will basically receive the output in the handle execution function, which should be a public function, and our execution handler should be able to call in that particular contract, and it should accept the data type that it requested, right? So yeah, these are the basically, this is the high level overview of what I am trying to implement with function layer, which basically implements user defined functions on chain. Uh, there are some issues, there are some things which I'm still figuring out on the proof side. So I'm looking into what can be done to maybe prove the execution, or prove the AVS operators and nodes are actually running the code and giving the output, and not just doing a submit transaction. So that is something that I'll look into later, but to just show how much I have already worked on, I will so I have these few commands. I'll yeah, I'll share the GitHub link. So basically, the first thing we need is an Anvil node running. So I will just restart, and I choose to run it on 3001 port. Okay, I am basically forking the Ethereum mainnet here and using the EigenLayer mainnet contracts itself. I mean the addresses itself. And the second step is to deploy all the contracts and start the node, which will be our AVS execution node, right? So I will run the command. Okay, now this should basically deploy the contracts. I'm sorry, uh, what happened? Okay, think there was some issue, but yeah, this should basically deploy the contracts and start our execution environment, right? Okay, deploy the contracts, and now it did cargo run, and currently the supported languages are JS and Go, uh, and we'll be using Go. Sorry, we'll be using JS example here. So this is our executor contract address. This is listening for computer requests. Now I can create a task. So this is what currently the basic version of a task is, which is basically you provide the RV URL for the code, the language, and how many responses do you want. Well, the language can be extracted away in the RV URL itself, but it's completely a choice. I prefer it like this, so I just executed it like this. But yeah, to just show that what this RV has, I'll just open it on, right, RVNet. So okay, I needed to download that file, and I'll just open it. Okay, so it contains this basic function which does nothing, but it has zero imports, and it's so this is how the function should be like. It should be an anonymous no name function that can take inputs from here and then use it. And currently it is returning uh, like it's ideally if it's an arrow function it's easier, but it can be anything. And it is basically returning 5 plus 3, which should be 8, right? And let's see what happens. So we will try to execute it. So we'll create a task. So to do that, I'll just do make create task, right? Okay, so the task was created. Let's go. Okay, oh my god, so it already executed the code. So what happened? It detected the computer request event. It decoded the inputs, it got the code, and then it basically got the output. Yeah, we got the output as 8, and then execution was completed and submitted on chain. So which means that now our service manager has the output, and it basically called this function in the service manager called respond to task with the signature, with the response string, and stuff. Currently I just sent this as a string for response, but yeah, I'm working on this, and I hope I keep working on it to improve and add more functionalities. So this project is completely open source. So if you have any ideas, if there's any feedback, any suggestion that I can make to this, would love to listen. So my Twitter is at the rate AskWhyHarsh. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a good day.